Hello everyone, in today's video we are going to talk about the vulnerability management, vulnerability assessment, and how we can do that using Nessus, which is a proprietary security scanning tool. So vulnerability management is a cyclical approach of identifying, classifying, prioritizing, remediating and mitigating software vulnerabilities. And the vulnerability assessment is when we just have a review of a network or a device, and we try to understand if that particular network or device is susceptible to any known vulnerabilities. And based on this, we can prioritize and give some recommendation how we can mitigate those vulnerabilities in the system. And in today's video, our objectives will be to install a VMware SANDBOX where we'll deploy a virtual machine, and we are going to conduct a vulnerability assessment on it, and then we are going to remediate some of those vulnerabilities discovered on this machine. So then we'll install and configure a network Nessus scanner, we'll identify vulnerabilities on the Windows hosts, we'll patch and remediate vulnerabilities, and will generate a report for discovered vulnerabilities. So in today's lab we are just going to use a Nessus Essential tool, which is a free version of it, and it's more for training, like practice understanding the Nessus scanner, and it has some limits obviously because it's not a paid version, but you can go and check it out on the Tenable.com, all the options they have, and see which one it's better fits your company needs. We'll begin with installing VMware first, and all the links and files that I may use during the video will be linked in the description below. So now we're gonna show how to download the VMware workstation player and how to install it. So come here and download, save this file. I've already saved it, so go find this file in your downloads and then click on it, and it's gonna start launching. It's gonna ask you to give it administrator account, password, and then it's gonna prompt with this screen. Next, accept license. If you want to install a hypervisor, you can tell it here. I'll just leave it by default. Add VMware console. Yep. Next. I just don't want it to start whenever my computer will start up. It will start automatically, so I don't want it. I'll just unclick it and install, and it's gonna start installation. And once it's done, just click finish. After this, you can go to your Windows button and find that VMware workstation player. Here, click on it. It will open a window like this, and we'll ask you if you have a license, and we'll just continue with a free non-commercial account. So most likely you'll have to restart the machine after, and then you will open on your desktop. You'll find that icon, the shortcut to the VMware. It's gonna look like this. Click on it and it will launch this box when you complete finish. So once this is done, we have our virtual box installed. And then we'll move to next step, where we're gonna download a Windows 10 machine. So to install our Windows 10 machine, we'll choose the Create Windows 10 Installation Media, click on it, download now, and save this file. And open this file and give your credentials for administrative account. You'll be prompted with this window where you're gonna start installation and setup of that Windows 10 machine. So accept license. So we'll choose create an installation media using ISO file. Otherwise it will upgrade your current actual device if you are on the Windows. So we don't want to do this. And then defaults in here, next. And here we'll choose, because we install from the ISO image, not from the flash drive, so choose ISO image, next, and save it somewhere. It's fine, I'll leave it here. It's just to sign as an administrator, so closing here. And so because it asked me to sign in as an administrator, I had to go back to my administrator account, download this ISO image over there, and then I get back to my user account, and now I need to open that VM and import this ISO image. So I'll come in here and look for VMware, and I will run it as an administrator so I can get access to that image, ISO image I've saved into administrator account. Because otherwise, if you just open it regularly, it will not show you that downloaded file. So now we can go and set up and create a new virtual machine, and we'll choose the file. And if I look in this downloads, I have it, and this is from that administrator account. So I'll open up this file in here. I'll go next. I'll choose the file name Windows 10 VMware and documents. I'll just put it on downloads in here. It's fine. Next, maximum size. I mean, I'm not going to use this machine, probably I'll delete it later, but split it. Okay, next. And customize hardware. Okay, so we need to do some configuration in here. Oops. So I'll just increase my memory size. And processor. Okay, 3/4 should be fine for this. So for the network adapter, we'll choose the bridged because we want it to be on the same network as our device where we have installed our Nessus scanner, so it can be easily communicated between those, and also that will simulate like a corporate environment where the device that's the scanner should be like on the network. If you want to do any other types of segmentations, you can do like a special virtual network or LAN segmentation and create like virtual LANs and so on. So we just go with bridged in this case, and can close in here and then click finish it. So like whenever it was like a black screen, you can just press like any key inside, like click on the screen, then press any key on your keyboard and your mouse may disappear. You just can bring it back by Control Alt and just let it go and run, and eventually you'll end up getting this screen where we start setting up our virtual machine and install it, the ISO image. So I don't have any product key. Once you choose I don't have any product key, you can come in here and choose a Windows 10 Pro version. Next. Accept the policy. Create a custom install, so we can format this space disk way allocated for this machine, and we'll start installation. Once it's finished the installation, it can take quite a bit, so whenever it's done, you'll be prompted with a screen like this. Click yes, yes, skip, continue with limit setup, and I need to name this computer. I'll just call it VMware. VMware 10, it's fine. And we'll give some password to it. Insert the password and next. And create security questions. So just give the security questions and then continue next, and not now, and it will start the machine. So our machine is installed. Now we need to go and download Nessus scanner. Right, so for installing Nessus, first of all we are going to use Nessus Essential, which is a free version of it, and we are going to this website in here, and it will need to register for getting an activation code, and it will ask you to provide details and here email address, and click on get started, and then go to your email and find this message from Nessus, from Tenable, and there will be your activation code and also the button to install, like to download that Nessus installation. Or you can go to this website where you will find the downloader in here as well. So it's gonna be that .msi file, and it says it's for Windows and all versions of Windows, and you'll click on it, click agree, and you can download and save wherever you want it. And I have mine already downloaded, so I'm not going to re-download it again. And also you can go and check some that will provide you the hash of this file, and you can go to the PowerShell and run get file hash and choose the file name, and you can get file hash and enter, and you'll be provided with the hash as well, so you can compare and make sure the file is not corrupted. So once you've done this, the next step is to go where you've downloaded the file, click on that file, and it will start the installation process. So we'll click next and follow the steps. I have mine already installed, so I'm not going to remove it, but basically there is simple process. Click next, 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 and install, and then finish. And once it's finished, you'll be prompted with a screen like this, and which is gonna tell you that it's trying to kind of connect on your port 8834, and you can click on connect via SSL, and it will start the configuration. You can save this link so you can access it whenever you want, because this is on the web, so it works for the web. So here we choose Nessus Essential, and it will ask for the same details in here, or you can skip and insert your activation code and click continue. Then it will ask you to give it a username and password and click submit. So after this it will start installation, and will download all the plugins available for this free version, and it may take some time, so I'll just pause and wait for it. Alright, so once everything is installed, you'll be prompted with that web app dashboard in here, and you can start right away and submit the target machine and like try to deploy a scan. I'll just close it for now, and now we're gonna get into introduction of that interface, what we can do with the Nessus, and how we can do some scans. Remember to save this URL, so whenever you will want to access your Nessus application, you'll just click on URL, so bookmark it somewhere on your web browser, and you'll be fine. So now I'm gonna go to my virtual machine and open a command line and get its IP address, and then we'll go and try to ping it from our own computer, see if we have access to it, and we'll work our way from that point. So I'll just go to my virtual machine, and I'm going to call the command line and get there. So I have the IP address in here, and I'm gonna try to ping it from my from my computer to see if I have access to it. So I'll open a command line in here, and I'll ping this 169. So you can see I can't ping it. So what I need to do, I need to go to do some configuration on the Windows Defender on this virtual machine because it's blocking pings. So I'll go find the Windows Defender Firewall, advanced settings, and I'll go to Windows Defender Firewall properties, and I'll turn off all these three parts: domain profile, setup to off, private profile off, public profile off. So now we kind of lower the posture of this machine, like the security posture, and let's ping it now. Let's see if we can ping this. So you can see now I was able to ping this machine because I disconnect the Windows Defender firewall in there. Alright, so now I get back to my Nessus scanner and we can create a new scan. So I'll come in here and create a new scan, and we want to do like a basic network scan. So we'll scan this machine. So I'll come in here, basic network scan. Here you can name it like scanning whatever machine. It's my Win10. And you can put description. You can choose the folder. I'll show up later how to create folders in here. And in here you can specify the target IP address, or you can give it a range of the IP address, or even a network like a subnet. Or you can upload, if for example you have a list of all IP addresses available in your company, you just come in here and upload a file, and it will upload all these target IPs. So also what you can do a scheduled scan. So you enable them here, and you can set up when you want like this machine or network to be scanned, and set up a time, like frequency, and so on. And you can also set up notification, but you need to enable SMTP server first. So if you do this for your company, obviously you will not do it then the Nessus scan like I'm doing right here. You will set it up on your Active Directory, and you can have an SMTP server over there, and you can have this email notification sent to you and so on. So next is the discovery. So like what type of scan you want to do. So like for example, you can scan for the common ports, like I think it's 1024 common ports. Then you can scan for wall ports, which is 65,535 ports available, or you can choose a custom port. Like you can choose custom, and you can go to the host discovery, and you can specify, for example, what type of ping you want to do. Like you can, if you do it inside your network, you can choose just ARP. It will be faster. If you do it like multiple networks, you can do the TCP scan, and you can choose like destination ports in here. You can enable, disable pinging, and so on. You can scan printers, like for example here it says fragile devices, so you will scan those network printers, for example, and make sure that in case they are not gonna be DDoSed, you know, like they'll be available, I mean that's availability. You'll scan it to make sure that they can be available in case of too much bandwidth or a DDoS attack. So yeah, there is way more stuff you can granulate and specify what type of scanning you can do when you choose a discovery and custom. Then you can do the port scanning as well. So you can choose like a specific port range, like enumeration, what type of enumeration you can do. Like you can choose a scene scan or UDP scan. Then you can go to service discovery, and you can choose like here other options. So I mean there is way more. It depends on what type of scan you need to do. You will come and choose a custom and make it specific for you. And also of course you can choose that network scan and configure, like in policy you can configure like a template for yourself. Like if you do a specific type of scan, you can create a template for yourself and run this template on the schedule basis. And that's how it works. Next, you have the assessment, where you can choose like if you want not scan for the web vulnerabilities, because like overall it's gonna scan for everything, you know, and you can specify like scan for all web vulnerabilities quick, scan for all vulnerabilities complex, or so on. Like you can specify to make this scan like for particular vulnerabilities. And you can do it customer and change it. You want to do a scan for the brute force, for app applications, and like you see, you can choose even a custom user agent, like a specific browser that you use, for example, or your company uses. Like let's say you use Mozilla, you scan for Mozilla web applications vulnerabilities, or if you use Chrome, you have ability to narrow it down in multiple in a granulated kind of scan, you know. Then you can choose like a Windows scans, and if you have databases, so on. And then you have also reports. So you can create a report and generate a report, and you can specify what type of report you want to have and what specific details in it. And you have an advanced, where you can like if you do a scan on the daily basis, but you know those machines are still operating, so your network needs a bandwidth. So you don't like to do this scans, and it will affect your bandwidth and slower your network. So you can specify like to scan only when it's a low bandwidth, where you can specify like more details about this, like how many simultaneous checks per host. Like you can make it specific, a specific type of scan, you know. But in this case, we just can go and do the basic scan, and we'll choose this. Let me go back. Discovery. I'll just put like, let's say let's scan for ports, all ports, right? Like on this particular machine, and basic scan. And I'll just give you the IP address of the virtual machine in here. Wait, and I'll leave everything by default, and then I can say save, and here is gonna be the button to launch it. So now if I'm gonna click, it's gonna start scanning this virtual machine, and I'll wait for it and see what vulnerabilities it may identify. And as you wait for it to still keep scanning, you can also click on it, and you will get details that already it found. So you can see the vulnerabilities in here, and you have 5 categories. First one is info, then it's low, medium, high, and critical. So basically, if you are in the company, of course you'll focus first on the critical ones and work your way down based on its criticability, you know. And here you can see it's give you the score from the common vulnerability system system score. So also you can check it in vulnerability in here, and it will give you details about each of that it found. So most of those are info, is just like informational, and then you can see like we have one medium, which says the SMB signing in not required. So it's one vulnerability it found, and it gives you the risk score in here, and you can check those details. Also, it gives you some information that you can click and open up, and it gives you some description, like it says signing is not required on the remote SMB server. An unauthenticated remote attacker can exploit this to conduct man in the middle attack against the SMB server. So then it gives you some solutions, but of course you can go on. You'll need to go and find it out, and then go and apply this like remediation, right? So let's say enforce message signing in the host configuration, right? Okay, on Windows, this is found in policy setting Microsoft Network Server. So basically, if you don't know what's that, you go find out where you can find this the policy settings for Microsoft Network, and go there and fix it. So that's how the vulnerability management works. Like, you will be prompted with vulnerabilities, you'll go research, and of course you'll focus on the most critical ones, and then work all of them way down. And if you don't know something, you just go and find information about this particular vulnerability and find the remediation for it and go fix it. So let's see if it finished scanning. No, it's still running, but eventually we showcase how this works. So that's a vulnerability management. Like, you set up a schedule when to run against your target machines, or you can set up a scan against your network overall and scan entire network, and you can discovery, like for example, if you want to discovery on a daily basis your devices in the network, right? Let's say you want to make sure there is no man in the middle, and you have a list of your IPs in the network, and then you go run it against like, let me showcase it in here. You can go and do a new scan, and you can just host discovery, right? You choose the host discovery, and you can put here the network IP and slash whatever your network is, the subnet, and you will run it against your network. So you put the network IP address in here, and you'll scan it against the entire network. I mean, there is way more stuff. Like, let me showcase here a couple more. Like, you can do like an advanced scan, you can do like a malware scan if you look for specific malware, and you can choose plugins. Like, for example, I want to identify some malwares for the backdoor, right? I'll click on the backdoor, and it will give me plugins in here, and I can choose a specific plugin that I'm looking for, specific. Let's say I have a Cisco device and I want to see if it's any issues with this. So you can choose it in here. I mean, I don't know, like for the free version, if I have these options, I cannot select it. Usually it will be with green here, a button says added, and you can click on it and add this plugin family, and then choose one of these plugin IDs, or you can import, you can use the plugin ID and insert it in your scan setups. So I mean, it's very advanced, and there is a lot of features in here. Like, you can do different type of scans. Like, we just did basic scan now. I showcase how you can do a host discovery, like to scan entire network, and you can choose, like for example, a credential page audit. You can audit if your device like enumerate any missing updates for authentication. Then you can do like specific attacks, like if you want to scan for the ransomware, also you can audit your Active Directory and see, like scan on the Active Directory and see if there is any misconfiguration in it or any. So like here is even that log4 shell that was discovered in December, and you can scan it against it. And also you have our like features, like let's say compliance, right? Let's say you are a company that works with credit cards, and you must be compliant with PCI DSS. So basically you can use the internal PCI network scan, and it will scan and make sure that you are compliant with their requirements. And there is like more of these policies that you can add, that's plugins, and I mean, this is like templates specific for those vulnerabilities. And yeah, I mean, if you are a company, you must have something like this in your security vulnerability management, So yeah, there is more to it, but let's go back to our basic scan and see how we can do more vulnerability management and remediation. So I mean, I went back to our vulnerability scan, And I wanted to explain one more thing in here. So if you open this like the scan you've done, like that it shows in here, you can click on it and go to configure. So it's the same like whenever you first set it up, right? You can do like changes in here, like make some changes to it, but there is a credentials tab. So what this credentials means? So credential, like for example, we did a scan right now, but we haven't given it like credentials, so we just scan the machine from the outside. But if, for example, in your network, you are not doing a pen testing, you know, to identify the vulnerability that are seen from outside. You want to know that your machine is not susceptible to any vulnerabilities from inside. So for this, you need to do a credential scan. So the credential scan will allow you to provide password, and there is more ways how you can provide the credentials for it. Let's say we have a Windows machine, right? So we want to authenticate to this machine in order to have this ability to see all the vulnerabilities available inside the machine. So you have one option to provide a password, and you'll use the username and password. And if it's on the domain, like if you have Active Directory and your machine should be part of your domain, then you'll provide a domain in here. And you have more options, like for the Windows, you can authenticate using Kerberos, NTLM hash, LM hash, or just a password. And if you have an SSH machine, you can provide the public key, certificate, and password as well. So in our case, we have a Windows machine, right? So I'm going to provide it a password and username, and I'll save the credential, and we'll do a credential scan. So like in the previous setup, we have discovered 32 informational vulnerabilities and 1 medium vulnerability. And we could just go and remediate those one, but we don't know actually if there is more vulnerability inside the machine. So now we are going to scan our machine using credentials from the inside. So I'll go back to configure, and I'll provide credentials for the machine, and we'll scan it again using a credential scan. So I'll just pause and do this and wait for the machine to provide us more details. You'll just provide your username, password, click save, and then you can go back and click on launch again, and it will launch that scan. And if you forgot your username for that machine, go to the CMD to the command line and type who am I, and it will give you the name of the machine. Alright, so I've run this scan again using the credentials, and I got a bit more of the vulnerability shown up, but most of them are informations. But I forget to do a couple of things. I mean, in order to scan another host, I need to do some configuration on that host, and usually if you have an Active Directory, you'll be able to do this configuration through your Active Directory. But in this case, it's not part of Active Directory, so I need to go to that host and do some configuration and run again this scan, so it can run through the registry and all our internal files on that host, so we can get like more visibility into that host's security posture. So to do this, I'll just go back to that virtual machine. I'll do couple configuration. First, I'm going to go to services, and I'll need to find here remote access. Route and remote. So I need to find that remote registry, so I can allow like a remote device to scan this registry files. So I'll click on it, and I'll go here and select automatic, apply, and start, and it will now allow like external device to connect and scan this registry files. And now I'll say okay, and you can see it's running and it's automatically. Next thing we need to do, we need to go to users shares and just type users control. So I'm going to lower that posture in here. What basically this does, like whenever you try to install a new app or do something on the device, it tells you like to ask you, to prompt you for allowing it or not. And in this case I just disable everything, So whenever I'm going to scan this device from external device, it will not prompt to allow to do any changes or scanning. So that's what basically we do. We just lower this notification that we may receive. So otherwise we don't receive any notification. And then I need to check shares and across the devices. And what this is going to do, so share, manage advanced sharing. So here I'm just gonna check that it allows sharing the files and devices discovery. So like basically sharing the files and printer sharing. So to make sure that they are on, so we can share those with another device, which is our external device in this case. So mine are both on, make sure they are on, and then we can move to the next step. And the next step is to go to registry itself, regedit, and go to the registry. I'm not sure if I need to run this as administrator. Okay, let's try and then see. So basically this I found it over here. This is says how to, this is from Tenable, like for the Nessus, how to do that credential scan, and you can find here instructions how you create additional step. Like I mean, we need to create a kind of word in that registry called local account token filter policy. And also I found it on the Microsoft, how we disable user account control, so we can have this remote access to it, you know, otherwise we'll not have access to that device remotely. So basically this will disable this control, so you can have those two sources in here. And I'm going to check this path. It's an HK local machine and software HK local machine. I'll just find this path real quick and resume. So you find this path, HK local machine, then it's software, then Microsoft, then you go to Windows, and then current Windows, current version, and current version is called all the way down to the policies, and then you choose the system. So in here we need to create this word and name it local account token filter policy. So to add something, you can click it in here, right click and add new, or you can do it inside the file and the same click and add new word, and it says based on the instruction it's 32-bit, and call it local account token filter policy, and click on it, and it should just make sure it's correct, local account token filter policy, and yep, and then click on it, double click on it, and we need to enable it. And how does it enables? You just switch the value to 1 and it's enabled, and you can see it here, it says 1, so it's enabled. You can see here 0, this is not enabled, and that's how you know that those values are set or not. So after this I need to reboot this virtual machine so all these changes can be applied, and then we'll come back to our Nessus scan and run again this scan, and we should get more details inside our scan, so we'll find out probably more vulnerabilities. So I'll just go and restart the machine and we'll be back. Alright, so I'm back here. I'm going to now create that scan again and configure, make sure everything is set up in there, and make sure the credentials are in here. If you need to change, you can change it, and let me see, it should be correct one, so I'll just save it again and I'll run the scan one more time. And whenever it's gonna end, I'll check if there is any other vulnerabilities discovered now once we lowered our security posture on that virtual machine, and we'll also configure that remote scan. Alright, so I finished scanning with all the configuration we've done, and now let's check it out what we've got in there. So look at this, how many criticals, like they can show mixed because they have, you see, critical, high and medium, like it has a combination of them. So it's a lot of them, and that's the power of scanning using credentials. So you can see like how many we've got in here, and if you want to check it out, if you go on that scan that you've done, and you can go to the history. So this is the first one we've scanned. So we found just 18 vulnerabilities, and one of them just was like medium, the other ones are info. And if we go back to history, that was the second one that we've scanned using credentials, but without configuring it to be scanned remotely. So it's basically nothing much happened, and this is the one that we used credentials. And look at this, how many vulnerabilities we have, but important one, how many critical vulnerabilities we have. And if you click on it, it says Microsoft Edge, Chromium, and here bunch of information of this CVEs, common vulnerability and exposures that they find it out. So it says the program files output where it is, and yeah, it gives you a detail, like you see, installed on the remote Windows host is prior. It is therefore affected by multiple vulnerabilities as reference. So most likely the version of this Microsoft Edge is the old one, and most of them are like, you can see it's for Microsoft Edge, so most likely the browser has not been updated. So basically that's how you do a vulnerability scan. You identify those vulnerabilities, you get some insights about what's going on and what kind of vulnerabilities are, and based on the information they provide you, you go and try to remediate this. And like you can see, here is a lot of these vulnerabilities, but most of them can be fixed by just simple thing like keep automatic updates, you know, and that's how you basically should do always. Like you need to first of all make sure that your OS updates automatically, plus you need to make sure all the apps that you have on the device are updated automatically as well. And if you are a big corporation or company, I mean, you would probably want to do a whitelisting on this devices, so you will only install the apps and allow those apps that you have installed, like from Active Directory, to be able to run on those devices. So instead of blacklisting some application and keep patching everything around, you just install a couple applications that it's required or needed for the operation and keep patching them or keep updating them. And if there is some like more critical vulnerability, go ahead, read, find out how to find an update for it, or how to find any information like to patch it, and that's how you do a vulnerability scan. So now let's go ahead and even make that posture of that Windows machine even worse. So I'm going to download a old version of the browser. I'll see, like, I mean, Microsoft Edge we have, so probably I'm gonna download an Firefox, and like I'll take the old version that has a lot of vulnerabilities in it, and then we'll run again the scan and see if we get even more information of even more vulnerabilities. So let's do this. Go back to my VM and open a browser. Alright, so I've run into some issues here with trying to access internet because I have that bridged adapter. So I don't know, I cannot get the default gateway in here. So I'll just go and switch to the manage virtual machine settings, and I'm going to change the adapter to network address translation, and then I'll download this file in here, and then I'll move back to the bridged adapter. So you can see I'm connecting to the network. Now I can access internet, and I'll go look for that Firefox old versions. Install. Let's see. Okay, let's go to this directory overs and let's choose some old version, whatever, let's choose any version in here. And choose Windows 32 for Windows, and look for English US, .exe file, and we'll have it downloaded in here. Open the file. So we should have it in here. So yeah, I have that whole version in here. So now we're gonna go and run again our scan. So we'll go back and start launching again, and it will start scanning this machine one more time. I just haven't checked something in here. If that IP address haven't changed. Okay, so that IP address have changed. I'll go and update the scan with new IP address. So I went and create a new scan. If I click in here and see I configured it, I choose in discovery all ports and save it, and I give it the credentials, so the password and username. So we do that credentials scan, and I'll just go back and I update it. I update the IP address in here, because when I did that adapter switching, it gave me a new address, but it's the same machine. So now I'm gonna choose this and launch the scan. So while we're waiting for the scan, I want to showcase, for example, you can go and find the documentation how to use the Nessus on the Tenable website, and you can see here you can choose user guides based on the versions you have. Here's that PDF file, and when you open it, you have all the details, how to configure, how to use, how to navigate. And if you want to check what version do you have, you go to settings and it will be here displayed. So let's go back and wait for our scan. So I've run that scan, and it didn't show me the credential scan because I've changed that network adapter. Some configuration has set up to default again, so I had to go and check again that services and enable that remote registry to start. And also I went to local account and check to make sure it's on, and it just turned off that shares files, and I mean that shares was turned off in here, so I had to come back and turn on, and now I had to restart and run again the scan. So if you had the same issues with me and you had to change the adapter back and forth to download this old version of Microsoft Firefox, so then you just have to go and configure those again and then run the scan and wait for it. So while we still wait for that scan to run, I wanted to showcase a couple features in here regarding the regarding those scans. Like for example, we had the scan in here. I can go to history and choose, for example, the last file I've run, right? So we detect a lot of files with this credential scan. So I can click in here and I can go and download the report. So I can go download Excel file or HTML, and I can choose like what I want to see, like detailed vulnerabilities by host or by plugins or overall, so or complete list of those vulnerabilities. So you can generate a report, and you can open up and see this report in here. So you can see like it shows you criticals, highs, mediums, lows, and if you expand, you'll get more details like of each of those. And you can see the plugins in here, and you can click and see what those plugins mean and see what vulnerabilities it has, and some details that you can find, like maybe how to remediate those vulnerabilities. So that's cool about this reports, that you can granulate it, and based on what you have to do, you can go and fix like first 11 criticals and go fix them, and then work your way down those vulnerabilities. Also, what you can see in here, you have some remediation already telling you here, like for example, you see 230 vulnerabilities can just be fixed by upgrading that Microsoft Edge version. So like I said before, if you just keep updating all the systems on automation, you will not have so many vulnerabilities on there, and you'll just have to fix some of them that will appear. Also, you have here that kind of threat reporting by the Tenable, so it tells you like which one to fix. It's more critical, like you can see it has a 10 out of 10 score, so you can have some information in here, and if you click on it, you get even more details like synopsis. It tells the remote host has a web browser installed that is affected by multiple vulnerabilities, and it gives you some details and some information where you can read and inform yourself. So that's cool about this. You can check it out in here. Also, our capabilities, you have a way to export. For example, you can export to Nessus database and just export it like in a database of the Nessus, or for example, you can export as a Nessus file, and after this you can like import this file back, and like for example, you need to go and access another Nessus account, right? And you have all these files with you, and you can come and import them inside, and you'll have the same format in here, like the way you've scanned it before. So that's cool about this. Another cool feature is you have those policies, and if you go on here, you can create a new policy, and you can choose a template, because those are templates like to scan for. So you can choose a template and create your own template based on some of configuration that I've done in those templates provided by the Nessus. And you can save it, and whenever if you have like let's say periodic scans done, then you can just go and use that template that you've created for yourself. Also, you can go and create folders. Like for example, you can create folders for specific network, or maybe some devices that you scan like more frequently, or I don't know, it depends. It is just easy to group. For example, if I have like servers, I'll group them in one folder where I'm checking all the servers, and I may have like another one that I just check the machines, that our Windows device or IoT devices, you know, so you can group them in separate folders. Alright, so my scan has been completed. So first of all, remember that just do this in your VM, and also like after you've done, maybe just turn off that bridge adapter as well, like you know, you don't have any vulnerabilities on your main machine. So keep in mind that this is just a lab, and you shouldn't like disable these configurations like a firewall defender or a lower you posture for user accessibility and remote access. I mean, just don't do it if you're not sure what you're doing. So that's just a disclaimer in here. But let's go back to our scan, and we can see we got now this time 28 critical and 41 high. So you can go and check them in here, and you can see we got a mixture of them. So we got like a lot of critical high in here. We can see it from here, it's Microsoft Edge issue. And let's go back to another one. We can see another mix in here of criticals highs, and it's for that Firefox that we've downloaded. It says the old version. So you can see like we got a lot of vulnerabilities detected, and we can see we have remediations here given for us, and we can see like it's just as simple as upgrading to the new version. That will fix the issue. And here we have that Windows Defender issue because I have disabled it. So I basically, like, you just can go and patch by upgrading and setting up that automatically updates on your device or removing the app. So like let's go and do some remediations, and then we can scan again and see if it fixed some of them. Some of them will be like more, like for example this SMB signing in, you'll have to go and read about it, how to find it out, where to find these policy settings for the Microsoft, and go to, I know it's in the Regit, so you'll go to Regit and find a particular path to this file location and enable those sign-in authentication requests. So whenever somebody will try to sign in to using SMB, it will ask for credentials. So basically, like it's really powerful, but you need to go and research if you haven't done it before, and you have a lot of info provided by Nessus as well. Also, you can just Google it and inform yourself and read about documentation for the Microsoft if you use Microsoft, and if it's a server, use documentation for the server. If it's our operating system, just go find information about how to configure it and so on. Also, you have information in here on some of the information, like how you can like do the scans and what you need to enable or disable to get that scan work exactly as you want it. And also you can generate them reports, and if it's not you who does this patching and updates, then you can generate a report and provide to the person who does this, and based on this they'll have overview what's happening. So let's go now and do some patching, and like as simple, like we can go to apps, and like I have this old version in here of that Firefox, just uninstall, and they'll fix that issues with criticals in the Firefox. And also you can go to settings and check updates, and Windows Update, check for updates, and also you can like enable updates for the apps. And of course you can limit those apps if they are not critical or necessary at all. Like I said before, you just whitelist applications, just install whatever is needed for the people in the company to do their job. So I'll just wait for these updates to come up, and I'll have to restart the machine so those updates will be applied. And after this I'll run again my scan, and we'll see if should most of those issues have been. Alright, so I finished the scan again after I completed those updates. So now we can see we have way less vulnerabilities detected, and most of them are just information related vulnerabilities, but it's more like details that, like scans that we've performed, it will be here in the information as well. So based on this, like we can see we have some remediation also shown in here. And if you go, like let's say we got that mixed in here, right? Microsoft Windows, and we see we have Windows speculative execution configuration check, and you can go and read about those, or you can just go on Google and see what's this. And I've been looking for those kind of information. So you can basically find all the information about what is this and what's affecting and how to fix it. Like you see recommended actions, and you can read what you can do, and also like mitigation settings that you can change in here to fix all these common vulnerabilities and exposures, and like registry settings that you need to configure to fix these vulnerabilities, and also how you can do it, how to enable all this. You can see here is that registry path and what you need to do. So I mean, basically overall it's just you can have information about how to remediate those vulnerabilities. If it's not saying in here, you can just go Google about these vulnerabilities and find details on the Microsoft or whichever operating system you have used and fix them. Like let's say in here you have that another set and it says critical. If you open up and read about this, it will say that we need to update that executable for a kernel, and you can just go and use that information they provide us in here. I can read about this and what you can do and how to mitigate it. So overall it's simple. The concept is identify vulnerabilities, check the remediation. If they're not available in here, go read about that vulnerability, go find information about what is affecting and what you can remediate. And also I want to showcase one more vulnerability. Like let's say we have that SMB signing in not required. So it's the same. You can find information in here, or you can read about this, and like based on what I found, I've read this path somewhere. It was on whatever. I mean, it's on the Microsoft. So basically you'll find this details. Okay, it's here. So I found the path and it tells me what I need to configure to make sure it's gonna ask for this like secure authentication. So basically it tells like to go and enable security signatures and to enable a require security signature. So I have enabled it, and if you click in here you can put it to 0 to disable, or put the value of 1 to enable this. So it's pretty simple. I mean, overall that's how you do the vulnerability management, assessment and remediation. And of course, like most of those issues can be fixed just by keep patching, keep updating the system, and that's it. And like you scan, you can set up a different type of scans in here, and based on what you want to perform. Like if you're looking more for the vulnerabilities for the web, like you'll found a filter for the web scans, or you can create one for yourself, like from those templates, or just go to policy and create a new one. And overall that's all about the vulnerability management. I mean, there's way more details, like how to do those scans and more specific scans, but overall like it's simple. You just scan the network, scan the host, or even like perform those vulnerability assessment based on information you have already provided. Like I showed, you can upload those files with IP addresses in there and scan it. And of course, it's the best way is to do it on Active Directory, because you have access to all this network and all devices on the network, and also all these policies and updates that you can push through Active Directory instead of going on each device and configure setting it up for updates. And also like whitelisting the application as well, like blocking them. Like if you install a domain controller, so all the devices on your network will go through domain controller to access internet. You can deploy this policies on the domain controller, and it will prevent downloading specific applications, or running them, or opening, or updating something, or it's gonna be way easier to manage those vulnerabilities when you have a set of rules, and you can manage those rules like on Active Directory. And if you have a tool like Nessus, it's gonna help you identify those vulnerabilities, see some recommendations, and it gives you a lot of details and insights. So overall, that was all for today in the vulnerability management. So thank you for joining and being here till the end.